Good morning and welcome. I want to welcome everybody to the Kansas City Scout, our amazing traffic management center for the city, also for the states of Missouri and Kansas. We appreciate everybody being here today. My name is Becky Almaroth. I'm the Chief Safety and Operations Officer for the Missouri Department of Transportation. And today I have some very exciting news, but I want to start off just with a very, very big thank you. Being the Chief Safety and Operations Officer, winter operations is one of my primary functions. And over the weekend, I've been out at the State Emergency Management Agency, and I feel that we had a very, very successful response to the storm. We had great collaboration with a lot of our partners, including SEMA, including the Missouri State Highway Patrol, including the National Guard. Even some of the very small incidents that we had very, very quick clearance because of that collaboration. Not a whole lot of reports of any motorist or vehicles being trapped for any extended periods of time. We're able to detect those crashes very quickly. But I want to give a really big thank you out to the public. We put the message out very loud and clear early on. This is a weekend storm. If you can stay home, give the plows plenty of room to work. We were going to have a much more successful response. And I'm very pleased to say that the public listened. We had traffic volumes that were dropped by 75 to 80%. So the public really listened. Only those that needed to be out were out in it. And you played a huge part in making sure that we were able to get those roads cleared. Minimal incidents. We only had one reported traffic-related fatality. That is amazing news. And that's another reason that I'm here today. I have some great news when we talk about traffic-related fatalities. Today, we've made some really, really good progress over the last year. For the third year in a row, Missouri has had and seen a decline in our traffic-related fatalities. In 2025, preliminary numbers show that we were down to 911 fatalities on Missouri roadways. That's down from 955 in the previous year. And I don't want to gloss over that. That's 44 additional lives, people that went home to their families. Each one of these fatalities is an individual person. That's a huge, huge accomplishment. Compared to 3 years ago, we're down 14%. 3 years in a row with reductions, 14% over the past 3 years. This is the first time we've experienced a reduction like that since 2019 of 3 periods in a row. This is very good news, and I want to thank everyone for their work to make this possible. But while we make this progress, I want to stress that losing more than 900 people a year on our roadways is still unacceptable. Every number is a person. Every life lost is a family member, a community that has changed forever. As we need to keep improving, we all need to do a little bit better. As we look ahead, we have the opportunity to make 2026 a historic year for safety. We will work towards a 4th year in a row of reductions in fatalities. To get there, especially during these periods of roadway construction and expansion, we need the public to work with us to slow down in those work zones. Our partners in the Highway Patrol help us to reinforce that message, sometimes in ways that aren't really pleasant, but it's necessary to keep everybody safe. We are making progress, but we need to do even more. If we want to keep this number moving forward, it's going to take every single one of us. I also want to know the importance of speaking up for safety on our highways. 2 months ago, we were looking at statistics and they were not looking good. It looked like we were going to finish the year with more fatalities in 2025 than the previous year. We made the decision to speak up. Ourselves, our Missouri State Highway Patrol partners, we let the public know, here's the statistics, here's where we're heading, and we asked for action. But in that final week, after we asked for action, and we put the message out there, MoDOT and the Missouri State Highway Patrol put out that urgent call, and the public responded. Our partners helped to get the word out into the communities across the state, And I really want to thank the media. The media played a very, very big role in getting that message out there. and we thank you for your help. Shortly after that, our trajectory changed for the better. In fact, right after that message went out in late October, the fatality numbers for November and December were the lowest that we've seen in the last 5 years. And here we are now. We have now achieved 3 years in a row of declining fatalities. That change did not happen by chance. It happened because speaking up about safety works. Missourians can make a difference when they choose to drive safely and encourage their neighbors and family members to do the same. It starts with the things that we say all the time. Buckle up, put your phone down, slow down, and drive sober. They're not just slogans, these are 4 life-saving actions that every Missourian can take. Our ultimate goal is 0 fatalities. And while 0 fatalities for the entire state is the ultimate goal, getting to 0 starts with 0 fatalities in our own families and in our own communities. When we update it as we have, we are analyzing current crash data to determine our most critical safety needs. And it's not done in a vacuum. We work with safety partners across the entire state, including law enforcement, emergency responders, public works, county and municipal governments to develop that plan. The current plan is Missouri's first to adopt the safe system approach. This is a balanced, people-centered approach that starts with the principle that deaths and serious fatalities and injuries are unacceptable. But it also takes into account that humans are fragile and we all make mistakes on the roadway. The 5 elements of the safe system are the tools that allow. Joe's going to talk about those a little bit more, but this safe system approach allows everybody to play their part. So I'm going to turn this over right now to Joe Jones. He's our Assistant Safety Director. And I want to give a big thank you to Joe because Joe is the one that really pulled all those community partners together to take a look at the safe system approach, to take a look at every aspect of transportation across the state, including what citizens can do, and then getting those ideas, again, not in a vacuum, but getting the ideas of everybody that participates to see what we can all do to drive those fatalities even lower. So, Joe Jones. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Joe Jones, and I'm our State Highway Safety Director here at MoDOT. And 3 straight years of decline, as you can see on the poster here, that's absolutely fantastic. But what can we do to not only stay there, but to bring it down more and eventually get all the way to 0? We have a plan for that, and that plan is called our Show Me Zero plan. It is our strategic highway safety plan, and that's a high-level plan that guides all the safety directions at the DOT for the next 5 years. As Becky alluded to, it is updated every 5 years. And we don't just go somewhere and say, hey, this is what I think we ought to do. We actually assemble a multidisciplinary group of safety stakeholders. We look at the crash data in the state for the last 5 years to find out where our most critical areas are. And those are the ones that we really want to spend our time and our energy and our money on fixing. MoDOT, again, as Becky has said, we've had 6 of these plans since 2004, but this is the first time we've used the safe system approach. The safe system approach is a comprehensive approach to safety that started overseas. It started in some of the Nordic countries, and it has spread to this country in the last decade. More and more states are adopting this, and Missouri, we did it this time around. It works on 6 principles. The main one is that death and serious injuries on our roads are completely unacceptable. There's not a number. If we got down to 500 next year, that'd be fantastic. It still wouldn't be good enough because any death is unacceptable to us. But we have to balance that with the fact that people make mistakes when they're out on the road, and humans are fragile. There's no other way around that. It doesn't take a lot of kinetic energy to break a human. So we have those things kind of working against us. How do we get to where we're going? How do we bring fatalities down and eventually bring them to 0? And that's where the elements of the safe system come in on this poster here. These are the tools that allow us to do that. They are safer people, safer vehicles, safer speeds, safer infrastructure, and safer responses. Safer people is all about behavioral things, the things drivers choose to do when they're on the road, not wearing a seatbelt, driving impaired. Safer vehicles are where we talk about classes of vehicles that are critical to us. Commercial motor vehicles, motorcycles, off-highway vehicles like ATVs and UTVs. Safer speeds, that's just what it sounds like. It's engineering and enforcing safe speeds on our roadways. There's much less kinetic energy at lower speeds than there is higher. Safer infrastructure, this is mostly about our vulnerable road users, our bicyclists and pedestrians. We have found that a big reason that they are involved in crashes is the built infrastructure around them. In safe infrastructure, we also talk about roadway departure crashes and intersection crashes, which are our two highest crash types in Missouri. And finally, safer responses. This is about post-crash care. We know that almost half of adults that die in crashes are alive when first responders get there. This is all about finding ways to keep them alive. So another principle of the safe system is that redundancy is crucial. These first four elements that I told you about, those are mostly aimed at preventing crashes. And if one of them fails, another one ought to be there to take its place. If all four of them fail, then you have the post-crash care. You weren't able to prevent a crash, but maybe you can still keep that person alive. So these are the 5 things that we're really focusing in on in our Show Me Zero document. Another principle of the safe system is that safety is everybody's responsibility. This is not a MoDOT problem. This is not a highway patrol problem. This is every citizen of Missouri's problem, and there's something that every citizen can and must do to help solve it. So that's why fully a quarter of our document, which, by the way, we have copies here, and I would encourage you to take them home with you. Nearly a quarter of it deals with solutions, and our solutions are grouped according to the groups of people most likely to be able to accomplish them. We have groups for law enforcement, EMTs, educational facilities at all levels, city, county, and state government, public works agencies, just to name a few. The plan even has solutions that you can do in your family, right around the dinner table. So there really is something that everybody can do in our plan. And that kind of brings me to my final point. We talk about getting to zero. And before I got into this highway safety industry, you start to think zero in a state like this where we had, I think, 955 fatalities last year seems impossible. I would have believed you too. I now fully believe it's possible, but it certainly looks impossible when you stand back and look at the whole state. But what if we could break that down into smaller, more manageable units? For instance, in 2024, we had 8 counties in Missouri that had 0 traffic fatalities. We've had 74 cities over 5,000 population, 40 of those over 10,000 that had 0 fatalities. We had 800 smaller towns around the state with 0 fatalities. So it's possible in those places. What if we could bring this down to much smaller places? What about your church, your school, your street? What about if we had 0 fatalities in our families? What if we just kept ourselves alive next year on Missouri highways? If we could break them down in those small units that are very, very realistic to get to 0, then pretty soon the whole state would be at 0. And I think that's how we do it. We can achieve big victories in small places. But it's truly going to take all of us working together, and all of us must. We have to use this momentum we see on the chart here, 3 straight years of decline, to keep us going. There's something everybody can do, and let's get out there and do it so that everybody can make it home safe every time. So thanks for coming out this morning, and thanks for all the work that the folks in this room do in this area. And please don't forget to grab a copy of Show Me Zero on your way out. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. One of our very important partners and collaborators in this effort has always been the Missouri State Highway Patrol. I'd like to introduce Corporal Justin Ewing to give a few remarks.
Good morning, everyone. As Becky said, my name is Justin Ewing. I'm a corporal with the Missouri State Highway Patrol here in Troop A. So when we look at this safe systems approach, what does that look like from a law enforcement perspective? For us, there's two real integral parts of this. There's enforcement, which we all are aware of, and then there's education. Here in Troop A last year, our Public Information and Education Division gave over 100 safety presentations to schools, businesses, and organizations to try to send home this message a little bit further. We have to do a good job of understanding what's required of us when we're on the road and what safety things are available to us to keep ourselves and others safe. The other part with the enforcement, that behavior change is key. When we have drivers making unsafe choices, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they put themselves and other people at risk. Missouri, we just completed our first full year with the Missouri Hands-Free Law in an enforcement capacity. We hope to see that continue to grow this year to remove those distracted drivers off the roadway, because we know here in Missouri, historically, over 100 people die each year in Missouri directly related to distracted drivers. When we talk about safer people, when we're behind the wheel, it's distraction, it's impaired driving, it's driving too quickly. But something else that's something simple that each one of us can be better about is wearing our seatbelt. Last year, of those 911 fatalities in the state of Missouri, over 56% of those drivers were unrestrained. That 3 seconds it takes to put that seatbelt on can make the life-saving difference for those crashes. But we've heard a lot of numbers and statistics, and this is where my main point today is. We can hear statistics all day, and we can kind of tend to put those things in the back of our mind. It's good information to have, but what's the real point? Each one of those statistics is connected to a person that's died in our state. Each one of us can probably name someone, whether it was someone we went to school with, a neighbor, a coworker, a family member. Each one of us can name somebody that has died in a car crash that we remember who they were, what they were about, the things they enjoyed. And those people are no longer with us. And so it's up to each one of us to make those safe choices when we're behind the wheel of a car, so that we don't have to send a state trooper to that door to make that knock, to make that death notification. That's the most difficult part of our job, is having to go to someone's home or business and let them know that someone that they've cared about, most likely somebody they care about dearly, is no longer with them. So please, when we look at this safe systems approach, this is a great way for each one of us to take that responsibility. But it's not just about ourselves. Every time we get behind the wheel of a car, when we make unsafe choices, we choose to drive distracted, we choose to drive impaired or too fast, not wearing that seatbelt, we're not just putting ourselves at risk, we're putting other people at risk. So please, when you're behind the wheel, think of yourself, keep yourself safe, but also think of your fellow human being. We want everyone to make it home safe, not just us, but everyone around us as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Corporal. That is the end. I do want to remind everybody, as you're leaving today, make sure you're buckle up, phone down, slow down, don't drive impaired. But we'd also like to give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you have for any of the three of us.
Whoever wants to take it, sort of a two-part question. Are there areas that are historically bad for crash or fatal crashes around this part of the state? And are there any that have changed, that have dropped off that map? And what have you guys done that has changed that?
I'd love for either the Corporal or for Joe to answer that, especially location-specific, Corporal. I don't know if you've seen anything.
Yeah. So we know historically Jackson County in the state of Missouri has had one of the highest number of fatalities every year. And so that's a targeted approach, not just by the Highway Patrol, but every municipality within the county, specifically some of our larger municipalities, Kansas City, Independence. And so we know that some of our interstate corridors, I-70, 470, we have seen in the past some high numbers of fatalities. But again, that targeted enforcement we've done, special enforcement operations, the Missouri State Highway Patrol now has it's our storm team, our strategic traffic response and rapid mobilization team. We now have groups of troopers that are specially trained in DWI detection, traffic enforcement, and they're being deployed around the state to some of these high-risk areas where we see some of these really high speeds, where we see some of these super unsafe driving behaviors. And so now we have teams that are being deployed to some of those areas to try to up that enforcement where we're seeing some of these higher numbers. So as far as specific areas, again, within Jackson County, through the city on those interstate corridors, and even on city streets, I can't speak as much to that, but where we've seen those high numbers, we're doing our part to try to put people there to try to curb those negative driving behaviors.
Corporal, I know you talked about the importance of behavior change.
Mhm.
Can you talk about the importance of how you guys continue to drive home that message when so many people are driving distracted, and even younger drivers, older drivers seem to be just so addicted to their phone? You've seen on TikTok people are watching shows now while they're driving.
Yeah, so it's trying to connect that number to the story. It's easy for us to be distracted going about our day. A lot of the people that we stop for distracted driving are working professionals. They're sending emails, they're sending text messages to employees. They're trying to go about their daily business while they're traveling to and from where they're going. But what do we have to do? We have to connect those numbers. We don't ever want that person sending an email or a text message to an employee to then be getting the message to that employee that that person's no longer with them because they were involved in a crash. And again, when we can connect that, when we can understand that those behaviors do have some tragic consequences, we don't ever want anyone to die in a car crash in the state of Missouri. But when they do, we have to learn from those situations. We have to take that story and do better. And so that's the goal, is connecting those statistics, connecting those numbers to those actual stories, and letting people take that story to heart, intrinsically find that reason why they don't want to be the next person involved in a distracted driving crash. Is it their kids? Is it their parents, family? Is it the career goals they have? Whatever it might be, finding that intrinsic reason that driving safe has to be a priority.
When we talk about car crashes going down, how about pedestrians? How's that been looking?
Sam, you might be able to speak more to that.
I can really tell you on this because we watch it, especially when you're in a traffic management center. One of the biggest increases we've seen in pedestrian crashes in particular is if somebody has a crash. It's a primary crash, or a car breaks down on the side of the road and then suddenly they become a pedestrian. That has been the biggest increase of upwards of 150 pedestrians this year that put themselves in that situation. So you've probably seen some of our Show Me Zero safety messages that have been out there recently. I've seen them all over the weekend when I was watching football, but it tells that story. If you are in a situation where you are in a crash, the safest place for you to remain is in that vehicle that's designed to take a crash. Do not make yourself a pedestrian. Stay in your vehicle with your seatbelt buckled until help comes. That help usually, a lot of times, is Missouri State Highway Patrol. They can come behind you with those flashing lights so you're more visible. Tow truck, tow industry is very helpful with that. MoDOT also has emergency response and motorist assist vehicles. It's just getting that protection behind you before you go to change a flat tire, or if you're in a crash, they're there to help.
Out of the 911 fatalities last year, how many of those were in work zones? Do you know? Work or construction zones?
Do you know that, Joe?
We don't have that number.
We don't have that number. We're watching that closely. I do want to remind everybody, we have a historic year of construction, and we have some permanent work zones, especially in this area across Interstate 70. We've been watching the speeds in those work zones very, very carefully. And if there's a posted speed limit because of the work zone, that means that roadway, with those barriers, with trucks entering, leaving, construction trucks, it was designed for that posted speed limit. It's not a suggestion. It's not because we want to punish you and slow you down. That's what that roadway was designed, and that construction zone was designed for that speed of traffic. So if you're going 10, 20 miles an hour over that speed limit, you're putting yourselves and others in danger, and you're also putting those workers in danger. I've had to go with the Missouri State Highway Patrol to go knock on the door when we've lost workers. We've lost workers that were on foot on the roadway where a driver has plowed into them. It's not a suggestion, and it's a speed limit. That doesn't mean go 10 miles an hour over. That's for everybody's protection. Any other questions? Okay, I really thank you guys. You guys, the media, you're absolutely our partners in highway safety, and we couldn't do and get a lot of these messages out without you. So appreciate you being here today. We'll stick around for a little bit if anybody has an off-camera question.